So I wanted to show you how I did the embossed gate. And I know it seems like I emboss everything. I don't. In fact, I haven't embossed anything in a year until these last few kits. But you do what you have to do. So as some of you may have seen already, that I had created this kit, Wednesday's Child is Full of Woe. And in it there is a gate that goes on the cover. And in my iteration, it acts as a pocket, and I actually cut it out on my Cricut because I'm lucky enough to have a Cricut. Now, if you don't have a Cricut, you don't have to cut it out this way. I do provide a cover with it already in place, but I thought it would be fun to make it a little bit more dimensional because it's also a pocket. So, how am I going to do that, you ask? Well, first thing I did is I scored the back, or scored where it's going to fold around the cover sheet, and I'm going to keep it scored with a piece of scrap paper in between, assuming I can get it in there. It's really much easier when the camera's not on, I'm telling you. All right, this piece is a little big for this. Let me trim it. Quick trim. But we do want it to be pretty tight and pretty much like it will be when it goes into the actual cover. Let's see if that's better. Yes, okay. All right, so we've got this covered, or we have a piece of paper underneath it, excuse me, and we are simply going to take our Versamark embossing ink pad that you can see. This is the one that I do use for these weirder applications. And I'm going to stamp all over this gate. And then I'm going to add the embossing powder, heat it up. And I'm going to do this a couple of times and really build that up. And one of the benefits of doing this is that while this pocket is sturdy enough to act as a pocket, it's pretty delicate, and one wrong flip of a page in your journal might just do it in. So what we want to do is see if we can't fortify it a little bit, and I think that the embossing powder is going to do just that. So now you can see I'm putting on a fairly generous coat. I'm trying to make sure I get it everywhere. Like you can see there, it's not well covered, but we're going to go over it a couple times. So there we have it. I don't know how quickly this stuff dries, but we'll be meeting it again. I'm going to take it out of there and put the black. I'm choosing black. I could do clear too since the paper's already black, but I really want that feeling of dark, rich iron. And I'm hoping this is going to give it to me. Gonna. God, I have to stop it with that. I used to speak English. Well, not entirely, but anyway, I'm going to do such and such. Okay, this is taking a lot because there's a lot of area to cover. But I think that's good. I see a few places I've missed. Okay, well, we can't do anything about that currently until we pick this off. And kind of sprinkle on those spots. Let me get another piece of paper. Whoops. Wasn't expecting that. I'm going to stick this back in. Should have used a bigger piece of paper for the amount of powder I'm using. Let's see. I see a couple of spots that I think I can get better. Okay. Let's give her a whirl with the heat gun. Oh, I see a few spots still. You know, you really have to look at it in all sorts of light. Pretty good. Okay, let's heat it up. So I'm turning this off for a second because I feel like I'm going to have to do this on the ground, or, you know, on a surface. So let me do this. Bear with me here. Okay. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. And it looks like metal. Well, as much as you're going to get paper to look like metal. So now I'm going to give it a minute to do its firming up and cool down. I see a couple spots where I either missed or didn't melt enough. No, it's hard to tell. You know, you really do have to keep turning and turning it. So anyway, so I've done one pass. I'm going to do at least 2 passes and perhaps 3. So then essentially it's just go back to what we did earlier. Oh, see, this is why I don't want to do this on it bowed. So it's better off if you don't heat up on your mat. It'll go back. I have complete faith in it. All right, so now I'm going to put my little test paper back in, or my masking paper, and clean this up as much as I can. Put this back in the jar because we are going to need it for round 2. And do it again. So same thing, same idea. Just gonna cover it up. I think it's cool enough to work with. Yeah. And we're just gonna try and fill in some of the spots we may have missed with the first. Hello, Savannah. Okay. Now I'm going to put this here. Okay, that was ridiculous. I was supposed to take out the matte sheet. So all I managed to do there is waste some powder, but that's okay. All right, so now I'm going to put this one back on folded sheet and dump this back on it. Make sure whatever can be covered is covered. Okay, so now once again, same thing, regular melting, but don't do it on your mat. It's already gone down a little bit, but let's melt this baby up.
I think we're good. Oh, nice. Okay, so now you see how this looks. Now let's stick it back. Let me double check and make sure I've not missed too much. I don't think so. I think we're good. So now, I'm gonna stick this back here. You want to do this first because the paper may shrink a little bit. And I think, so this part that's curled some, I'm hoping just sit it under something heavy for a bit, and then I'll put that back to where it needs to be. But I love it. It's shiny and metal and iron looking, and adds a really fun aspect to this kit. So now we'll go finish putting it together. So I've decided to emboss the back of this section up here, just as a way to perhaps pull that curl back. And I'm thinking that by adding the same kind of application on this side, I might be able to get the curl out of it. I'm still going to just put it under something heavy and it should flatten back out. But it strikes me that it wouldn't be a bad idea to do this and also reinforce these skinny little parts that we have here. So I'm just doing, oh, I got some on there, but I won't put embossing powder there. I'm having a little trouble getting, there we go. All right, so let's see. Relatively neat with the stamping. Got a little there, but I could take my little brush, which of course, see, I cleaned up for you, and oh, here it is. We don't need it on this area at all. I'm just going to brush that off and keep it just along this top edge. So now back to the heater. All right, that looks pretty good. And I think it's working. So I'm going to let it dry for a second, or cool, and I'm going to hit it again and give this a little bit more stability and a little bit more, hopefully less curl. So let's see. Okay, so I think you can see it has already started to pull that curly part back. So you can see it's, I don't know if you can see it, but it still has a little bit of a curl to it, but it's minor. And I think that's just enough to put it back in place. And as mentioned, it really does fortify that filigree cutout. So I am going to stick this under something heavy for a bit, but there you go, all done.